Right then, today we have Doctor Usman.
How are you doing? You alright?
All good, mate. Feels like we've been here before.
You've
been doing the rounds, mate?
Yeah. Been on a few podcasts now. I've got one of my own podcast as well.
Yeah, I've seen it. But I watched the one last week with you did Danny Lewis.
That was a good one, yeah.
Absolutely mega. It's absolutely mega episode. But I was saying, you messaged me a couple of weeks ago about coming on and getting on and stuff like that. And the next minute you were popping up everywhere. You know what I mean? I think you did the Leggett podcast with Andy.
Yeah, with Andy and Tom.
You with Paul Smith.
Yeah.
You've been popping up everywhere. I was like, I should have got him on earlier. You know what I mean? You won't think I'm copying them now. But it's like Andy G said from Leggett podcast. Once you go into one podcast, you bounce around them all, then you know what I mean? It's like, so you sort of like do the rounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's good because you're hitting different crowds and talking, especially with your profession.
Definitely, yeah.
Obviously being a GP and that.
Yeah.
You used to be Everton's GP, didn't you?
Yeah, Everton ladies team doctor from like 2017, 2018.
How was that like?
It was okay, yeah. It was that was like my first time in football, working in football.
All right, okay.
So I work at the moment in rugby league and amateur and professional boxing. Obviously, it's all taken a hit due to COVID.
Yeah.
But that season was football. It was good. Like we got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. We got knocked out to Arsenal in the semi-final.
Okay.
It was an experience, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, just working in football, it's like totally different to other sports and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was good. Yeah, it was totally different. I mean, the women's team are totally different to the men's setup, and at that time, it was good. It was good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you sticking to rugby now and just going down that road? Or?
Rugby league, yeah.
Rugby
Rugby
league,
league and the boxing as well.
A lot more injuries, real injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything then, like, the proper, like, yeah, so it's more like head injuries, concussions, like big tackles, cuts and stuff like that. And obviously it's the same with boxing as well. So
well, that's it. It's different ball game altogether. You got football, obviously you get some bad injuries, but you literally guaranteed the injuries, aren't you, in those sports?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, the one thing we want to talk about is obviously the current situation, which is absolutely crap at the moment. It's an awful time to.
It's bad.
It's COVID.
It's bad.
You know what I mean?
It's changed everything since like February, March, and stuff like that. It's impacted everything.
It's had a massive impact on our family. Obviously, we lost our granddad a few weeks ago, and before that, my mother-in-law was in hospital. That was touch and go. We've all had it in our family.
Yeah, have you had it?
Yeah, we've had it. So,
what was it like when you had it?
Do you know what? It wasn't that bad for me, and that's going to sound bad. It wasn't that bad for me. My missus was bad with it, and my baby had it as well.
Your baby,
and she brushed it off in 24 hours.
Wow. So when you had, what were the symptoms when you had it?
So with me, it was your standard flu symptoms.
Yeah.
Aching, drowsy, tired, and I had a bit of a temperature, which I controlled with paracetamol. And then I'd have about 2-3 days, and then for 2-3 days after that, I was like, well, I feel great, I feel sound. My missus tested positive.
Yeah.
Obviously we didn't test the baby, but then the baby had a temperature of, I think it was like 38.2 or something like that.
Yeah. How old is the
She's
baby?
3. So straight away,
old,
Calpol. You know what I mean? Calpol. She had an afternoon nap, and then she goes, oh, I'm tired. So she had an afternoon nap, and then she was back up again, right as rain, wrecking the house again. You know what I mean? Back to normal.
Yeah.
And but then it must have been about 2 weeks later. She went off her food for a few days, and we didn't know why. But obviously she lost the taste. She must have lost the taste and the smell, so her food wasn't nice to her. So she was like, I don't want that. You mean I don't like it?
Yeah.
So she was like, you always eat that. But she was getting out. She's not out of breath, but she's going, oh, I'm tired quite a lot. With me, after about 2-3 days after having the flu symptoms, I lost my taste and my smell and stuff like that. And that's when my breathing got tight then, really tight. And I was like, it felt like I've been for a run every day, you know what I mean? I was like, and that took 2 weeks to shake that, you know what I mean? Really. But my missus was bedbound for a few days with it, like literally wiped out of it.
Yeah.
But she bounced back just like that. And that's with the younger generation, we can bounce back, you know what I mean? My mother-in-law, she had symptoms, all the above, for literally 10 days. In the end, it was like, right, we need to get her checked. The ambulance ended up taking her in into the Fazak, and she spent 6 days in there with COVID pneumonia.
Yeah.
And the COVID isn't as bad. It's what it brings on afterwards.
Yeah.
It is the pneumonia.
Secondary pneumonia.
It was lethal. But then the same. Well, an hour before she went in, her dad, obviously Grandad Owen, went in. and that's what wiped him out. Like,
Yeah.
that's the pneumonia. Like that, I think that was the killer.
How did you feel when people are just like, it's not real and all this stuff? Like,
Well, that's what I was going to come to.
It's so hard, like,
it's at the start, and I feel so bad for it at the start. In March, I was like, it's just another flu. It's just another flu. At first, like January time, I was like, it's not real. I don't think it's real. You know what I mean? It's like, you hear all this conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and you don't know what to believe. You know what I mean? And then come March, I was like, okay, I believe it's real. People are getting it and stuff like that, but it's just another flu. But obviously, with any strand of flu, the elderly are always going to be at risk. Always going to be at risk because obviously immune systems X, Y, Z, and people with health conditions and stuff like that, they're always going to have that risk. And it wasn't until my family got really hit with it, I was like, this is the real thing. Like, you mean? But like I said, if the COVID symptoms for me and my family were just like normal flu, you know what I mean, we battered it off, but it ripped through the older generation, you know what I mean? So it's I don't know, it's a tough one because you've got a lot of people out there that have mass gatherings and marching around and stuff like that, and you're like, after what we've been through, you can't really. I don't argue with people. I don't try and get into debates with people on social media because it's a losing battle.
You can't. Like, something I was always taught growing up, like, people, in regards to religion and politics, you have your own views. People have their own views. People are going to differ their views, basically. And now it's health, basically. Now it's this. Like, you can say you're the most qualified person in the world. You can say you're this, you're that. You can never win an argument with someone at social media. Like, initially, I used to get quite annoyed, and I used to try to argue with them. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Don't waste your breath.
They'll fire back with something. Well, my friend's nan, postman, knows this, and then it just goes around in circles. And then you try to correct them, and you're like, well, you're calling me a liar, and then it goes around in circles. You can't, like, you can do it in person. That's different.
Oh yeah.
That's totally different because that shows, but you can't. Social media, you just can't. And then I started to realize, like, there's no point. Like, I used to read, like, the comment sections of, like, the Echo and newspapers.
You just
and stuff.
end up eating and sweat yourself and getting fed wound up and stuff.
It's just like, why?
And you start. I think because obviously with being in the military and stuff, I've done a lot of first aid and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But you find that when you start arguing with someone, you sort of detach from your professionalism,
That's it.
And you're professional, and you're trying to be the professional person,
and you're going down
and
to
then
that
next
level.
minute you're getting really angry. You know what I mean?
That's
You're like, just listen. You know what I mean? But we just need to let it ride, I think, to be honest. You know what I mean? And help the people that we can.
Because I was getting annoyed initially at the fact of, like, spreading so much misinformation. I understand if you don't take it seriously and you don't think it's serious, that's fine. That's your own opinion. That's cool. But the thing that used to annoy me was the blatant spread of misinformation, saying masks are dangerous and masks cause you pneumonia and masks can kill. Like, well, if that was the case, does your dentist die at the end of every shift? Your dentist wears a mask.
Exactly.
When we're working in operating theatres, do we die at the end of the shift? Do we collapse and die?
Right down to people spraying cars and painting, you wear a mask.
Construction workers, builders, they wear a mask. It's what it is. This is the way I see it. They're not, obviously, a lot of the general public aren't used to wearing masks. They've not had to wear a mask before for obvious reasons. So with the government telling them they have to wear a mask, firstly the government, and it has to be put some blame on the government as well. Initially they said that there's conflicting evidence, like masks aren't, they don't work. There was some confusing evidence, and then suddenly they were like, you got to wear masks. So naturally the general public are like, well, what do we have to do? Do we wear them or do we not? So I totally understand if you suffer with anxiety or makes your anxiety symptoms worse. Don't wear it. That's fine. But
well, I do. I suffer with it quite bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm exempt.
Yeah.
But then after what happened, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll struggle. I wouldn't put it on. I'm like that, but it's something that has to be done. It's something that I have to work through for the elderly. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. But then there was a point where a lot of people wearing masks, and these people who didn't want to wear a mask were sort of the odd ones out. So I feel that they would spread this information to almost encourage others to get on board.
Yeah.
So I almost likened it as, if I'm inviting you to a party, I've got best food there, women, whatever, and you don't want to go to the party, but all your friends want to go. It's like you telling all your mates, I don't want to go to this party. This, just lies, spreading lies and convincing others to think. So it's like that. That's the thing I get, like, where they would almost spread this information like this. Where are you getting the evidence from that the masks are dangerous? Where are you getting the evidence from that cause pneumonia? So just so much, like, rubbish that would, and then naturally people who don't know better, who don't know, they will read this information and think it's true, and it'll follow like that, and and then it'll come to the point where you can't correct them, even if it's a medical professional. You can't correct them because it'll be like, well, my best neighbours told me this. So that's the thing. I just don't agree with the spread of misinformation. If you don't, you know, if you think it's a conspiracy, that's cool. That's up to you. That's fine. That's a different opinion. But don't spread false information.
Yeah.
Don't read one Daily Mail news article and think, oh, this is the truth, and run with it.
That's it. Yeah. You know, do you think if we never had social media, we never had YouTube and Google, do you think we still have as much of a divide?
No.
Do you think conspiracy theorists and stuff like that wouldn't exist as much?
Yeah. No, it'll be. Think of how things were like in the 90s, and I mean, even when 9/11 happened, like I'm not really one for conspiracy theories, but I always thought there was something really fishy with what happened.
I believe that it was an inside job. I really do.
I do as well.
But the thing is,
just look at Bush's reaction, and like, you know, when that last plane.
Yeah.
Look, I remember that war, as like yourself. We talked about this camera. Obviously, my family from near there. Yeah. I still think the most evil man that I've ever come across in this life, and probably above Donald Trump, is George W. Bush. Yeah. Evil man, like from everything, his aura, everything he came, anything he stood for. He was just an evil man. Yeah. And I wouldn't put it past him. Like, no. But again, at that time there wasn't much social media. So, but I think now people can go on YouTube, watch one video from a scientist, and they're experts in COVID and stuff. That's it. So it's the misinformation that I have a problem with. Whether you know, if you choose to be a conspiracy, if you don't think it's real, that's up to you. But it's just that misinformation that I just don't think. No. You know, it's not safe.
Do you think that it's gonna spiral out of control? Do you think there's gonna, because at the moment there is a massive divide between, what should we say, the normal people, the sheeple as they're called, and the conspiracy theorists? I mean, do you think there's a massive divide at the moment, and the numbers are growing each side? Do you think there's going to be some sort of problem in the future?
I don't know. Maybe because I've just deleted a couple of the rubbish off Facebook, but I'm noticing more people. There's less conspiracy theories now. People are sort of starting to open their eyes into it. Like, maybe they're getting just fed up of things and just think, you know, like. But I think with the vaccine coming into play now,
what's your thoughts on that? Because that's something I wanted to touch on.
That's a whole different
from
matter.
A GP's point of view.
Yeah, that is
me personally. I don't believe in it because because I believe if you've had something and your immune system's become strong to it, then why would you need to have a vaccine? Yeah, that's what I believe.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment because it's been rushed in testing. You know, normally a vaccine takes about 5 to 10 years. Yeah, like any medication, you know, you need to test it. Test centers on cells, humans, animals. It's not only that, you need to follow up. You know, when you've tested it on a subject or a group of subjects, you need to follow up 18 to 24 months later. Yeah, you know, do it in a randomized setting. So the fact that, okay, fair enough, it's been done by these scientists and it's done in a few months, but there's been no opportunity to follow up things like a year later and stuff like that, you know, due to time. So for me, there's like, I need to see more evidence and I need to see more cases, you know, as I go the back. I'd rather sit back and watch
before you comment.
Yeah, before you go. And there's a lot of, you know what, you think that there's a lot of health professionals that, you know, colleagues that are like, I'm not too sure whether I'm going to have it yet. It's useful for the vulnerable people. I totally agree. Yeah. Because obviously you read about, especially the Oxford trial as well, because my mum's a fertility specialist in Abu Dhabi. And funny story, actually, for this podcast, and I've explained it on the Leggett podcast as well, and the Paul Smith podcast. So she was treating a patient for his fertility, an Arab patient, and he was coming back for sperm counts every few months, and it was fine. It was improving. One appointment, it came back and it was like really low. So my mum was like, well, "What have you been doing? Have you been taking any medication?" She's like, "No." "Have you been taking anabolic steroids or testosterone boosters? Because that can affect it." He's like, "No." And then so mum's like, "That's really confusing." So as he was walking out, he was like, I was involved in this was about 4 months ago. I was involved in a trial, the Oxford trial, and so obviously that had affected his sperm count at that point. And as we know, sperm counts can regenerate. They can grow and stuff. It's not like you're infertile at that point. So obviously, like, there has been evidence to show that COVID can affect your sperm cells, but I've mentioned it on podcasts before, but then people will run with it and be like, well, it makes you infertile. And no, it doesn't. You might be infertile at that point, but the next day sperm, you know, like grows and stuff like that.
Well, I know that because we'll touch on it later. I took steroids from a very young age. You know what I mean? I had steroids right from the age of 19, right up to be 30. You know what I mean? To the point where I abused anabolics quite bad.
Yeah.
So when it comes for me to have a child, it wasn't happening.
Which ones are you using?
I was using test.
I
was using test Enfinate, and I was using Decanate. But the Deca, when the test left my body, the Deca stays in there for at least 18 months afterwards. Unless you PCP correctly. I didn't take enough PCP for long enough, so the Deca completely destroyed my drive, destroyed everything. And it was, believe it or not, well, from I'll get your opinion, but I used a growth hormone, a really simplex growth hormone for a matter of months, which I believe put me back on track, like you mean. And now I have a baby, and I'll never go back to that again. But sperm count will bounce back as long as it's you put the right stuff into your body. You can come back. Of course,
but yeah, so that's one of the things. Obviously, I don't think an 80 or a 90-year-old is going to be worried about their sperm count.
Some people nowadays, you know what I mean?
Never know if you happiness and stuff. But yeah, no. So I mean, I would advocate it for obviously the very vulnerable, like 80, 90-year-olds, and that's what they're doing at the moment, or people with a lot of comorbidities, a lot of health conditions and stuff like that. But I mean, and again, I think the government are going to use that to maybe not go into lockdown again, that they've got this vaccine as like a buffer. But I can see them, like, I've obviously got a lot of mates, and I'm cool with a lot of people that are so anti-vaccine and against this, and I've talked to them about it, and I could see the government having travel restrictions and stuff. You know, if you look at
that's
vaccine
definitely going to happen, I reckon.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
It won't be like, because I'm reading an article where like you could get, there was rumours that you can get sectioned if you don't vaccinate it. I was like, that's a bit mad. Like, I can't see that happening. But the travel stuff, like, I can see that happening, or certain jobs, I can see that happening. I think restrictions, but you get people talking as well saying, it's the vaccine's going to slow down reproduction in the future, and then in the future generations and stuff like that. Like, where does that information come from? That's the thing. Like,
obviously, we are a crowded planet. We are a very, very crowded planet, and things are put in place and whatever to try and slow it down or depopulate, whatever. But it's when people say it's for this, I don't know where that information comes from. Really do not know where it comes from. Like, how can Janet from down the road, 2 up, 2 down, know that this vaccine is gonna slow down the population? We don't know.
Mad,
I mean, I talk about it all the time. Part of me is like this, and part of me is like that. But the thing is, bottom line is, I don't know.
Yeah,
no one does.
I think it should be a thing where, like, if you don't want to have the vaccine, just say I don't want to have it.
Exactly.
And just respect people's opinions.
Exactly.
Like, we live in a thing where people should respect other people's. We're living a freedom of speech thing. Like, respect other people's opinions, and I also agree as a GP as well. It should, if you refuse to have a vaccine, that's fine. It should always be the patient's choice whether you refuse to have some medication, some treatment, surgery, or anything like that. No one should ever be forced into it. No one should ever be coerced or ridiculed for having it as well. Like, I think it's going along that as well. When you hear people going for testing and there's protesters there, like, intimidating them, it's like, why do you need to do that? Why are you doing that?
That's their choice.
Why are you doing, like, what is it to you whether they're having it?
Exactly.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
You're throwing away your perfectly good Saturday morning.
Yeah, going in a cold, like it's like me and you going right now, and it's like, I'm fucking freezing. Like, it's
it's just, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Mate, why are you wasting your Saturday? Like,
I understand that some people are, you have a drive and a passion for something, but I don't believe that if someone makes a choice, make a decision, that's their decision to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely. I understand, like, them going on, when there's demonstrations, that's fine, but don't, when they go and intimidate people that are doing it, that's just nasty. Like, that's, if
you want to do peaceful protest, that's fine.
That's absolutely fine.
But it's when you start, like, we had the stuff in America, people go out protesting, then they started smashing up local businesses and shops. You're like, hang on, your grandparents walk down that road every day and go to the shops, go to the post office and you're smashing those businesses up. Yeah. What are you doing?
You're talking about the lockdown has
You're asking for the government
businesses
to smash you.
To
restrain you. You mean you're asking for this?
But I mean, and then, like, you can obviously understand, like, this lockdown it's just had so much, like, detrimental effect on people, like people's jobs, livelihoods, houses, finances. It's just so sad, especially with Christmas coming up as well. Like, I'd hate. It's just, yeah, I can't think of anything that's it's been as bad as this year and stuff.
The thing is like we've had a bad year ourselves, and then the end of the year, we've obviously with the family and stuff like that, we've had a tough one. So it's,
Imagine,
I think what a lot of people do now, they're just going, you know what, let's just get to Christmas and let's try and have a good Christmas, and then we'll start again. We'll reset for next year.
Yeah.
And I think some people like myself going, well, what's coming next year? You know what I mean? There's always something. You know what I mean? There's always. You know what I mean? And I think it's down to mindset. But as a population, as a nation, we're all like, let's just get to Christmas. You know what I mean? Let's try and have a good Christmas. And then it's when Boris Johnson turned around and goes, oh yeah, I'm stopping Christmas. And everyone's like that. Oh, stopping. Oh, there's gonna be no Christmas. And that's the next minute everyone's protesting and go, no Christmas. You know what I mean? Like just you don't need. Just because he's saying there's no Christmas, you can still have your Christmas in your house.
Still
You know what I mean?
celebrate in your house. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you always find, like the human race will always find a way. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's COVID, and it's I think in the very near future we're gonna forget about it, and we're gonna move on. And
I'd like to, I'm hope
like any disease or whatever, flu, we move on. We
I remember when it came in March, I did say to myself, we're going to peak in June, and then there's going to be another peak in October.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably return to normal, like maybe Easter, summer.
Yeah.
Like that'll be towards, but probably like, I think I've always said when a vaccine comes in, that's when they'll work towards, you know, because not everyone's going to have it, but there are going to be groups of people that are going to take it. And essentially, yes, you are getting fit and healthy individuals that have been hospitalized and, you know, taken to intensive care unit, but a majority of them are the vulnerable and are the ones that suffer with comorbidities. But a lot of the comorbidities people, like my cousin has worked on a COVID ward, and a lot of the people that, you know, do get very unwell, like they might not have anything, they might just be very overweight. And look at the population of the country that are very overweight, you understand what I'm saying? So look at the countries that have high blood pressure, simple things like high blood pressure. So that's the, you can't say
obesity and stuff like that, and heart disease and stuff is killing what, 400,000 people a year. But no one notes that.
So they're the things that make your prognosis worse in COVID. So when they do stuff like shut the gyms and stuff like that, like it's it's just been a really depressing time. And we've obviously mentioned about mental health and drug abuse. I think with everything happening with the lockdowns and the restrictions and people losing their jobs, I'm seeing a lot of, as a GP, you know, working and stuff, I'm seeing a lot of patients that are coming to me with worsening anxiety, worsening depression, mood problems.
Are you seeing a spike in mental health?
100%, yeah. A lot of sick notes and stuff, mental health.
Do you think that's caused from finances,
and it impacts everything else, like relationship problems as well, home life, things at home. It's a lot at the moment. And
I'm a big believer on home life. For mental health, home life is the baseline. And I've found that when I didn't have a good home life, my mental health spiked. I was bad. Now I've got a good base, I'm more grounded to fight things off. You know what I mean? My missus used to work for the RBS Bank, and she used to take a lot of calls over lockdown and stuff like that. And it was a lot of men, our age, middle-aged men, whatever, literally in tears on the phone, going, "I can't afford to feed my kids." And these are men that have come from big jobs and this, that, and the other. Worked hard all their lives, going, "I can't feed my kids, I can't afford my mortgage, can't do this," and they're falling apart. You know what I mean? And it's crippling to hear that a man can't provide because he's been told he can't. He's been stopped. You know what I mean? And that to me, the first lockdown, I lost my job, my day job. But with me, I'm resourceful. I've always got contacts and a backup plan. You know what I mean? And then this lockdown, I'm in a new job now, so it hasn't been too bad. So I'm quite lucky in that respect. But when you lose your job as a man with a family, you go, "Oh, what do I do now?" You know, and you're the worst. Your whole world closes in. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? So my missus was coming home and telling me stuff like that, and I was heartbroken for them. I was like, "I know how you feel there, like that." It's just this world we live in. You know what I mean? It's just like you just can't work. You can't imagine not being able to feed your kids. It's like that's heartbreaking me.
Because as a man, like yourself as well, you see yourself as a provider. To provide for your wife. I haven't got any kids, but I've got a wife. But provide for your wife, provide for your kids,
give her the world,
look after you, look after. So no one else will see this, but you will probably see. No one else will blame you, but you'll blame yourself when something happens. Yeah. And especially with men, us men, like, we'll see that, we'll blame it. You know, we'll dwell on that failure and stuff like that. And
that's when you see it as a failure. You being sacked is not your fault. From a job being laid off.
Of course.
But you'll see that as a failure. You go, I failed as a man, and straight away, a normal strong man will go, I failed, and he'll go into some sort of sadness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or self-loathing, whereas like someone like myself with PTSD and that will go, I go a spiral into a spiral, like a whirlwind of depression and self-hate, and it's so I can imagine that you're gonna get a lot more.
It's hard, man.
Mental health problems, especially like, with men and stuff.
It's just, you don't know. Like, there's not a lot you can do as well. You can, it's obviously you can be empathetic and show support and stuff, but you almost wish you could just take that away from them. But you can't, like I said. And then losing their jobs, and then there's a lot of uncertainty, and then a lot of times with the depression and anxiety, especially when people do suffer with anxiety, it can bring on a lot of physical symptoms as well, like irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. They'll worsen, their bowel habits due to that. If they've got existing pains like back pains and stuff, that'll be worsened with anxiety. Everything is worsened and heightened. Think about it, times when you've been more anxious and you've been low.
Oh yeah.
A lot of your physical symptoms, everything, not even physical symptoms, but your sleep pattern, it's gone. Your appetite. You could either eat more or eat less. I eat less. So when I've been, I eat more. So like a thing, sleeping as well, people's bowel habits as well. So there's a lot of stuff that can all impact it. Some people can get very anxious to the point where they have panic attacks. Where I've known some people think they're having a stroke. They can't feel their arm, they can't talk. Chest pain as well. They think they're having a heart attack. A lot of these things are from your increased anxiety and, or your low mood.
I find with me, it's a knock-on effect. So I could go through a stressful situation, and then I can sit there and go, okay, that's done now. I've dealt with that. And it could be like 3 days later, I'm like, oh, I'm anxious. I feel a bit anxious here. And the next minute, I get the chest pains, I get the dull ache in my back, I get jaw ache, I get like pains in my throat. And it's almost like COVID symptoms. I'm like,
and then you think you're getting COVID.
And then my chest is clear. I did a podcast a while back, a Safe Place podcast, absolutely brilliant. And I sat there. I was just before I went in. I was having a panic attack. I had to sit in the car outside because I'm used to it. You know what I mean? So I was having. It's a really minor tremor. So I was working through it. I was like, looking pictures on my phone, my family and stuff like that. And then I went in. But because it's coming to the end of it, once I've had the panic attack, I go into a state of depression then, in a low mood. Not to the point where I'm got suicidal tendencies or anything like that, but at the point where I'm at a low. You know what I mean? So I did a dull ache. My sinuses bunged up, and it's like, and I sat there like that. I was talking to him, and he must have been looking at me going, "This fucker's got COVID." Like that. I sat there going, "I've not got COVID. I'm all right. I've just had a minor heart attack in the car. I'm all right." You know what I mean? And he sat there going, "Yeah. Well, that's the end of the podcast. I've like been here 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Trying to get me out the door." But the knock-on effects from it is it's massive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So it's one of those things. But then again, there's a lot of things coming to light now. A lot of big things with meditation, mindfulness, yoga and stuff like that. I often, in terms of managing depression and anxiety, there's a lot of iPhone apps people can use, like Headspace, which I've used before. That's brilliant. There's one called Calm.
Calm's a good one.
Calm's is good.
It's weird because it's like, when I looked at it, it's like rain on a tree leaves, and you're like, what's that? I just look out my window, but then if you look at it, you go, it's actually quite good. It's good
for like people that are struggling to sleep. Headspace is really good as well because it's sort of mindfulness, getting your breathing techniques right. And then that's more for anxiety. And then for people that are struggling with their thoughts and coping the mechanisms with their thoughts, I often suggest cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which is,
that's what I'm going through stage 3 at the moment. Of it like that. At first it didn't really do much, but it's the second part of it that was a lot better. The third is when you go more in depth, like so.
Of course,
But there's loads of things out there, like. But do you think stuff like apps and doing like yoga and meditation, that they're big things now? Like Paul Smith talks about it quite a lot. He's doing it quite a lot, and he's become a completely different person. You know what I mean? He's a lot more settled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think it's telling say like a man who's lost his job and he's struggling with finances, to tell him to do meditation to try and calm down is a bit of a brick wall. 'Cause obviously you're trying to calm down, and I've been there before with finances, and you sat there and you're like just trying to relax. You go,
right.
What about the electric bill?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit, my daughter's dinner. You know what I mean? Do you think it's sort of
Okay,
like a tough one to do?
It's a really, really good question. So you can't be like, hear their problem and be like, go meditate. That's just fucking insensitive. So it has to be done in a step-by-step manner. So you have to find out, because right now, like how it'll work with these patients, all their thoughts in their head will be really irrational. It'll be like, think of like a track, and all the like, think of like there's roads in your head, and all this cars, like your thoughts are cars, and they're just driving all over the place. So this man who's stressed, who's lost his job, has got all these thoughts: the electric bill, my daughter's thing, this, that. There's so many thoughts and stuff like that. So I often say, like, with, you know, and I can't understand what you're going through, because I'm not going through it at the moment. I can imagine it's really hard, but it's about creating a routine. Maybe doing stuff like writing down some of those thoughts and worries, you know, timing yourself for 10 minutes and writing down some of those thoughts and worries, sitting together with a family and friend, and just getting some of the stuff off your chest in a calm way, and helping them devise, you know, listen, this is going to be my strategy plan. Okay, I've lost my job. What are we going to do next? You know, because I often say, when you're alone with your thoughts, that's when it gets worse. So definitely. I often say to someone, you know, who's come talking to me about their wedding, do you have any family or friends that you can confide in? Do you have any mates? Any family that you can sit down and talk to about these things? Home life. You've mentioned about home life. It's so important, and routine as well. So it all leads on to doing stuff like, you know, getting up earlier or having a routine, going to the gym, making sure you're eating at regular intervals, and then sitting down and talking to these people about how you're feeling or what's troubling you, and then from then on in, they can, you know, like, offer some advice and support and stuff like that. And obviously it's you know, obviously it's different if it's a grievance, someone's lost someone, but I often say in time that helps, and that's when you need, you know, family support, you know, to really be around you and pick your mood up. But every situation is different, sort of thing. But the main principles are basically routine, sleep pattern, eating properly, exercise, family and friend support, writing down some of your thoughts, indulging in, you know, like counselling and talking therapy, because I often say CBT and stuff, it's not going to take the matters away, but it's going to help you process those stressful thoughts and stressful emotions a little bit better, you know, in an organised manner. It's going to help you write, you know, think of your thoughts on a piece of paper. All your thoughts are sort of, you know, scrabbled and in a disorganised way. The counselling and CBT is going to help organise them. So, you know, think of when your room's in a mess, like, it's just carnage. So when it's all clean and tidy, you can think a bit better. So it's it's different to your thoughts and stuff. So yoga is not, so these other things like yoga will bring you sort of peace and sort of thing, but it is about organising some of the stressful things. And so I often say that's the driving force, really, the CBT and the counselling and the talking therapy. Yes, and then there's antidepressants and stuff. That will help, and I would say that helps. That will make the bad days not so as bad, if that makes sense. But I would say it won't take anything away. You have to put in the work.
What's your thoughts on antidepressants? Like Searchline and stuff like that? Because when I first started to struggle, like, realised I was having a problem, I was struggling a lot, I started with antidepressants. Now I'm not completely against it. For me now, it's not the right thing for me. It's not something that I believe that people should go straight to. You know what I mean? I think it's good if you're in a really bad place. You need to stop to get out of it. It's good for, if you say take a small dose of it just to work yourself back. I think people that depend on them and have them for so many years, I think that's bad, because when you come off it, you are going to resort back. In my mind, what's your thoughts on that?
Good question. So there's obviously different stages of depression: mild, moderate, severe, and we'll score this by we'll ask them we'll ask a group of questions. We'll ask like a survey. So generalized anxiety depression scoring system, or the PHQ-9 survey. So obviously, depending on that score, if they get a score less than 9, it's mild depression. If it's 9 between 15, it's moderate. Above 15, it's severe on the PHQ-9. Don't quote me on the exact scores. So I often say, with mild depression, you can process, you know, if they're like, I felt a bit low, you know, just really stressed at the moment. This is your example of a mild depression. Has your sleep been affected? No. Have you had suicidal thoughts? No. Has your appetite been affected? No. But I'm just a little bit stressed and things are a little bit on top of me. that's when stuff like counseling or talking therapy or yoga, meditation, the extra stuff, that's when it's useful. Medication at that point, antidepressants, it's not really there. When it becomes to moderate or severe, when your appetite's affected, your sleep, you just can't do things you used to enjoy doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave the house. Some people could, a lot of times depression is very severe where they'll be in bed all day.
Yeah.
Don't want to leave the house. I often say antidepressants are useful then, yes, because, it will help with neurotransmitters in your brain, serotonin and stuff. Serotonin is like your happy hormone.
Yeah.
So it will boost that. But you can't do that alone. I often say that maybe it's like 20%. The other percentage is everything else, the exercise, the routine, the talking therapy.
I think
the
routine's the big one.
Routine's huge, yeah. So, but I often say antidepressants will make the bad days not so bad.
Yeah.
So you might be able to get out of bed and do some cleaning around the house.
Yeah.
If you've just been in bed all day.
Normality.
A little bit of normality, but the thing with this thing is people just want pills. They don't want to do like it's hard. You'll know yourself with mental health, and I've suffered with mental. Getting out of bed and doing that routine, because when you suffer with depression and anxiety, it's almost like your mind plays tricks on you.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So you going and breaking that cycle is absolutely, it's hard. Like it's really hard.
Massively.
So it's like you have to take that first step. So people don't want to do that. They just want to, and then it comes to, when you start to want antidepressants, as a GP, you need to review them in 2 weeks because sometimes the side effects can be quite nasty. Bad dreams and they feel a bit anxious. And I often say you'll feel bad initially and then it'll start to settle in, but they'll just keep going back. Oh, it's not working. Oh, it's not working. Can you increase the dose? Can you increase the dose? Can you increase the dose? And I was like, well, listen, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, we've now increased this dose. You've tried so many antidepressants. Are you doing talking therapy? No, it doesn't work for me. Are you doing any exercise? No.
People want that quick fix.
They want that quick fix.
Well,
listen, you have to, do, so it does help with the moderate and severe cases. And again, with anxiety as well, there are tablets that can sort of alleviate, panic attack symptoms like propranolol. But again, I'll put it in percentage thing, 20%. The rest, it's like, when you're training, when you think like you've got your diet and your exercise, the big portion is your diet. You can't out-train a bad diet. You can you can train 5-6 times a week, but if you're eating fucking, I don't know, McDonald's 4 times a day or something crazy like that, so you can take all the antidepressants in the world, but if you're not doing anything, you're still taking recreational drugs, you're still drinking a lot. Yeah. You've got no routine. You're not really going to go anywhere.
That's it. You're plateauing, aren't you? You're battling against it.
But I can imagine it's so hard, and I can empathise with anyone who suffers with mental health issues because it's tough. And then you see, like you talked about this up camera, PTSD as well. PTSD, a lot of personality disorders as well, schizophrenia, bipolar. There's so much other than mental health and depression and anxiety. Yeah, that you see.
The thing is, mental health it's become more and more bigger the past few years. Yeah, and I will should I say popular as well. Yeah, it's a popular thing to talk because obviously with being a GP, you see a lot of cases that's been due to COVID and finances and stuff like that. Do you find as well? Do you find a lot of cases are purely down to emotion driven? So you got like basic emotions like happiness, sadness, nerves, stuff like that. Do you find a lot of it's just down to that? Because I know a lot of people that will play the I'm anxious card when they're really just nervous, you know what I mean? And a lot of it is because people haven't had those feelings before. So like if you go for an interview, you don't go for an interview every day of the week. Yeah. So you do naturally get a bit nervous about it. Yeah. So do you find a lot of people that will go that do get nervous and call it anxiety? Do you think that do you get a lot like that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like broke up with my girlfriend.
What, just now?
No. I just got a text.
Shit. Do you want to go like? Stop.
No. I'm saying that's one of the thoughts. Like,
all right.
I've broke up with my girlrand. I'm a bit sad. Yeah, broke up with her a week ago. Just like I've joined this new job. Like I don't really want to comment because it's like it's everyone is affected, but I'm a bit stressed at work. They're making me work nights, or they're making me, I don't. I don't want to appear insensitive and stuff, but it's one of those things where you're right. You've hit the nail on the head. A lot of times it is emotional driven, and I say time is the best healer. Yeah, breakups or oh, I'm just not enjoying work. I don't like my boss or something like that. You know, I've clashed with my boss, and then naturally that event, you know, like an event like a breakup, like something like that, will influence their emotions, and their emotions will affect their mood and stuff like that. So yeah, it is. It's
because I find out a lot with PTSD and with that area. A lot of people have been told that they've got symptoms, so naturally they become right. Okay, I need to get help.
Yeah,
and that's something that I'm trying to break at the moment.
Yeah, I think people will almost want a label. You know,
exactly.
The thing.
They want to identify something
rather than breaking away and be like, listen, I need to fight my way back to being strong.
I'm an alpha. Stuff. I want to be this. I want to be that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll just lie down and take it and go. All right, I'll put myself a label.
Yeah, and that goes back to, you need to get back to some routine and that thing. You know,
exactly.
If you're like, listen, I need to medication. I'm not thinking about CBT, counselling, meditation, and all that stuff. You're almost sliding back into, do you really, you know? Yeah. So it's.
But I was like that because I was like, oh, I obviously need help, which I did need help. You mean? And I was like, right, okay, I'll do this and I'll do that. I'll take the help. But now I've come to a stage in my life where I'm like, you know what? It's not about the therapy and the help and support. My end goal is not to be me again, because I don't know who that was. Whoever I am is who I am now at this current time. I might be a completely different person in 5 years' time. You know what I mean? Well, my goal is to keep moving forward with a strong mindset and improve myself and get better and better and better.
That's it.
If I have to take therapy or do medication, meditate, do this, do that, I'll do whatever I have to do to get to that goal.
Definitely.
It's not like if I'm going that way and then a doctor or a consultant says, right, I think you should take this.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, okay. Sometimes that might stem me off. I mean, sometimes the best medication is your own goal, your own mindset, and micro goals, and having a focus and stuff like that, and having advice to get you there along the ways. But a lot of people will go, oh, I've been told I need to do this. That's my life now. That's what I have to do. I have to sit down and I have to become that medication. I have to become that therapy. You know what I mean? Like, no, use that therapy to get where you're going.
That's
people lose track.
That's it. And I was speaking to, obviously, with my own podcast, the Doctor Usman podcast, I interviewed a lot of different people. Interviewed like a mind coach.
Mega podcast, like.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You've had some good guests on there. Like.
Thank you. So, and it's obviously, I like getting different people's opinions. You know, I like, have you heard of the MMA fighter Dean Garnett? Yeah. So I'm cool. Like, me and him are good mates, but obviously he has totally different views about COVID and stuff. Yeah. I like getting different people on the show to get different people's opinions.
Because he was on a Leggett podcast as well. So I was watching it, and
you know what? Dean has totally different views to me, but he's so fucking well read. He's read a lot of these medical papers, read a lot of these papers. Okay, he's got totally different views, but he's read a lot. But it's refreshing to see that rather than someone who's just read the Daily Mail and the comment section. I think he's read his stuff. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, you get the different people, and I was speaking to this mind coach, and the thing is, it's about creating short-term goals, you know, for yourself. So especially people who are suffering with mental health, depression, anxiety. Just goals for today. Okay, listen. Did I get up in the morning to go to the gym before work? Because I when I train, like, I don't know about you, I can't do morning sessions. Maybe I can do them on a Friday. But like, I struggle to get up in the morning. I always have to do it after work or in the evening or at night.
I'm bad in mornings. Even though I'm ex-military, I hate mornings. If I was going
to do a morning session, it would be like a slow, fasted cardio. You know, like where your heart rate's maybe like 130, 140 beats, 125 to 130 beats a minute. But any form of interval stuff like boxing or circuits, I just can't do in the morning because I just feel really sick. But like stuff that, little goals, just write down at the end of the day. Listen, tick box, tick box, tick box. I think a lot of times when anxiety and depression comes around is, like you were mentioning before, when people start to worry about the future, like, oh no, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And it's about creating those short-term goals. Okay, listen, I've lost my job. Listen, what do I have to do today?
To get by.
Okay, I need to call the bank. I need to call this person. I need to call that. Let's get those 3 things done. And then that will be one day ticked off. Does that make sense? And I've never been to jail. You know, but I can imagine, you know, places like jail and stuff. That's where they think that. I've heard of people going like they take every day as it comes. You know, getting every day. But I can imagine, you know, people that do suffer with bad anxiety, depression, they worry you overly worry about the future and what's going to happen, worry about things that haven't happened yet. And that's when, that affects, your mood and stuff like that. So I've heard from someone like a mind coach about writing down these short-term goals. Okay, did I get up in the morning to go to the gym? I don't know, did I do this, run this errand? Did I cook this? Did I do that? Did I make the bed? These little goals, and that'll keep you stimulated almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So,
I think micro goals are always, even just everyday life. You know what I mean? Just get, like you said, just making sure, like, I think making the bed in the morning is the best start.
Of course, man. Of course.
And one with me is like, obviously I've got me family at home. It's like, have I given them enough attention? Because with my life, because it's so hectic at the moment with business and stuff like that and work, it's like, it's very easy to, because I've got the mindset of attack. You know what I mean? I've got to do the best that I can at everything. I've got to push. Yeah. Whether it be through business, through my job, whatever. And it's very easy for me because I have addictive personality.
I'm the same as well.
Very addictive.
I'm either like, I've talked about this with my wife and my mates. Either I do something, I don't do anything at all, or I do it to the fullest.
Till you kill it.
Till I kill it. Yeah. Like, some people can multitask and do 10 different things at once in life.
Yeah.
I can't. No. I either have to do, one or two things.
I end up having a breakdown. I end up falling apart. I end up having a proper shit fit. So it basically, it's like, I get so stuck into, say, my business, like my brand or with podcasts and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm proper like tunnel vision. That I leave stuff to the side. It's not that I don't care or whatever. It's just that's my mindset goes. So I always have to stop. And like normally me missus will say, you know what I mean, slow down. But I always have to stop, draw a line in the sand and go, right, okay, that's enough of that for now. And then I have to go, right. So I always have to stop myself and make sure that I'm giving my family enough love and enough time as well. That's something that I'm learning to manage, and it's down to self-management, but that's something that I need to do a lot more of. And I know some people go, right, I need to work, I need to get the finances sorted, but at the same time, you need to remember why you're going to work. And you've got kids and family, then that's why, you know what I mean? So it's a balance that you have to find, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but going back to the addiction, being an addictive personality, obviously when I started taking steroids and stuff like that, it wasn't like, oh, I'll just take steroids. It was like,
how did it come about, dude? How did it all start? Like,
I think it stemmed. We switched the podcast around here, haven't we? I think it stemmed from being a kid. I was always a skinny kid. I mean, I always had skinny arms, and I always remember, and I remember to this day, who sat there in the changing rooms, and in high school, everyone starting to fill out, and everyone started to go to the gym and do stuff. And I was just a skinny kid, you know what I mean? And I was always, no one ever said anything, but I was always a bit embarrassed with my arms being skinny arms, you know what I mean? And I think that's why I went and started getting tattoos at a young age, getting covered in them, to take the emphasis off my arms. So as soon as I went into I was in the military and stuff like that, obviously, you shouldn't take steroids in the military, like, but yeah, I started taking tablets and I started injecting.
So tablets were the first one?
Which one was Dynabol.
Dynabol, yeah, I've heard of them,
Yeah, I was on Dynabol. I was taking
I've had Trembol, Dynabol, all these other...
Yeah, it was Dynabol is for protein synthesis.
There's another one called Anavar.
Anavar, yeah.
What's that do?
Anavar is similar, but it's also a hardener as well. You know what I mean? It's
stanozol as well. What's that?
Stanozol. I think that's more of a stripper. I think. I've never taken it like, but my ones is at my highest doses I was having 100 milligram of Dynabol a day. I was taking oxyandrolone 50 milligram a day. I was injecting 1,000 milligram of Test E a week. And I was on 750 milligram of Deca a week. And then I was taking, I think I was on 300 or 250 milligram of Tren as well.
Trembol, yeah.
And then when I come to PCP, at the end of cycles, I was...
So were you doing this for like an 8-week period, or just like...
At the start, I went on my first proper cycle. I must have been about 20
weeks.
No, I was 20 years of age.
20 years. How long would you go?
And I was on that for about 6 months.
6 months, yeah, so longer than expected. Yeah,
and
so because for 8 weeks, isn't it? Like,
because I seen the effects of it, and I was literally growing right before my eyes. I was like, I was on cloud 9. I was like,
so
I'm
did
never
you have
stopping.
to make sure, like, because obviously I've interviewed a lot of a lot of boxers and stuff, and we've talked about the issue with doping and stuff, and from working in sports, like more so not rugby, because rugby, football, they're stringently drug tested and stuff.
Yeah.
And there might be an issue with rugby where they'll ask for sort of more sort of painkillers and sleeping tablets, but in combat sports, MMA, boxing, it's rife. Like it's sort of growth hormone test, especially for the heavyweights, the bigger boxers. For the smaller ones, it's stuff like EPO, will give, it's like blood transfusions will give them energy and stuff like that. So one of the boxers that I interviewed, he got banned previously, and he was sort of saying that a lot of them do it. It's not like a magic pill. You have to make sure your diet and exercise is there.
Yeah, of course.
And essentially, it doesn't transform you, but it'll make you train harder and recover. So you can fit in that extra session. You know, you can do 6 hard sessions a week as opposed to 4 that you normally do.
Pain after it. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I seen it as me growing, but what it is, it's down to recovery. The recovery is so much quicker. You know what I mean? But then I stopped, and then I literally had like 6 weeks off and went back on again because I needed it. You know what I mean? And my whole life evolved around it.
Have you ever seen anyone get on the gear, but their diet's poor, they're still drinking, still taking recreational?
Me.
Oh, okay, Did you still notice the differences then? Like,
yes and no. So when I left the military, I got out when I was 25. I was still on them.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't in routine with, okay, I'll do my day job, I'll go to the gym, I'll do this, that, and eating properly.
Yeah.
I was literally caning the injections.
Yeah.
I was eating shite, and I wasn't training properly. I was going there doing big lifts, and I was half-assed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the test levels were still building. They're still high. My receptors were all blocked. I wasn't taking. So every time I was putting an injection in, the receptors were going, no, we're blocked, can't take any more. So I was just banging more and more, and you know what I mean? So basically I was taking on water. Then the low mood kicked in because I wasn't seeing the effects that I used to see when I first, like any drug, like it's like cocaine. First time you take cocaine, it's amazing. And over time, I've taken it. It gets shitter and shitter.
It's your tolerance, your body starts. It's like anything.
Your immune system getting all that.
Weed, coke, anything like that. Like you.
And then you're forever searching for that stronger drug. Then you know what I mean. But yeah. So basically, I turned then to more drink. And I was always a big drinker in the army, because in the military, that's what you do at the weekends. Like, hey, get on and you're absolute fucking animals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I was still in that mindset while on a really test-charged body.
Yeah.
And I still had a lot of strength about me, and I was drinking and drinking and drinking to the point where it was like I was only drinking to forget.
Yeah.
To the point where I was putting a bottle of whiskey away every day. And I was like...
Fuck.
I was just buying the cheapest shite I could find and just putting it in. I just wanted to just wipe myself out, forget. And that's when I started having my suicide attempts, because
I'm so sorry.
I was just, no, it's cool. It's just, the drink was something that the only way I was going to crack it really is if I had a main goal. And at the time, there was nothing decent in my life.
Yeah.
There was nothing there that was worth.
So obviously someone I've seen it professionally, and we talked about this off camera, had to deal with it personally, not myself, but
No.
one of my close sort of friends, and I still to this day, I'll say that alcohol is the worst drug that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
So let's finish these sentences off. Yeah. So I run over this person because I was
drunk.
Yeah. I lost my job because I went on a night out the day before, and now I'm drunk the next day.
Yeah.
I hit my wife, or I hit someone because I was
drunk.
Yeah. I've racially abused or verbally abused because I was
drunk.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like,
or a dick.
Yeah. But it's always it's fueled by alcohol. You never hear, I did this because I was stoned.
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, stoned turns you into a nicer person.
It does, yeah.
Again, and coke as well. The coke would come from,
drinking.
very rarely you'd have people like dry lining and stuff like that. It'd be, they drink. The coke would basically help them.
But you
drink more, basically.
You could be straight edge. You could stop it all, and then the second you have a beer, you go, let's get a bag.
That's it. So
that's what it is. It's always the follow on.
Basically, like the drink just makes you sort of woozy. The coke will sharpen you up, so you can
keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. You can extend the night, so your night finishes at 4 as opposed to 1, basically. Yeah. And alcohol is a gateway to do other stuff, like maybe some ecstasy, MDMA, coke, and stuff like that. It can. And alcohol withdrawals are the only things that can really kill you. They can kill you basically. The other ones can't. They'll make you feel unwell. Like if you're coming off heroin or opiates and stuff like that. The withdrawals, that your flu-like symptoms and bowel problems, but alcohol withdrawals, you know, they'll send you into seizures and electrolyte imbalances. They can actually cause a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
So that's why the thing, it's so dangerous. And if you're drinking really heavily, you should never ever cut it cold turkey, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You should always wean yourself down or go get some help and stuff like
That's
that.
What
you
I
need
did.
vitamin.
I stopped.
Oh, you stopped completely?
I just stopped. I literally,
Jesus.
I come back home.
This is from a bottle of whiskey a day?
Yeah, and well, it was a bottle of whiskey, beers, whatever, but it was always in excess, you know what I mean? And then when I come back, I stopped, and literally my body just shut down on me. That literally was like, nope, you know what I mean? And then the clucking kicked in then, where it's like, if one bad thing happens, like, I need a drink. I'm still like that today. Still like that today. Like, nowadays, I can drink. Like, last night, I had a few beers with my missus at home. We watched the telly, we relaxed, we had a hard week. That's sound. But then I'll start to drink, and I'll start to, like, I bought, like, say, 20 bottles of Stella for over Christmas, and then, like, I'll sit there and get 8 into them, and my missus goes, that's enough now, and I go, okay, go to bed. Whereas I'll just go, I'll just finish this crate off, but then I won't be an angry drunk or anything like that. I'll go, I'm going to bed. You know what I mean? That's where I am now. I think that's more mature and down to experience of having bad experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And then it can obviously cause all the physical problems as well, like a lot of this, like liver problems and everything. It's just such an ugly, dangerous drug. And if it was brought on now, it would never. Obviously, it's The
thing is, it makes the country a lot of money.
It does, yeah.
That's why it's here. You know what I mean?
And I
Do you drink? Do you drink at all? Or?
I did, but I haven't drunk. I'd only drink when I'd go out. You know, out to town. And when I was living in town, I was living in town for the 2-3 years. I was living in the same block Daniel was living in. Actually,
really,
Wales.
Yeah.
So I was talking to him. I was like, every Friday, Saturday night, we pre-drink at the flat.
Because you had you into Dan Lewis.
Yeah.
So a week, yeah.
Yeah. So I lived in his block of flats, Waterloo Wales. So this would be the thing. Like, we pre-drink Friday, Saturday night, and then we go out to town, and it'd just be a consistent thing. And I'd only drink when I'd go out. But
You're going out?
I haven't been on going out in a couple of years, so I don't really drink now. But I often say, like, I was saying this on the Leggett podcast. Do you agree with me here? Like, people who drink, alcohol consumption is almost like, it's not it's almost taken quite lightly. Like, oh, look at Stephen there, he can put away his booze. Oh, he's a heavy drinker. Ha ha ha. He was smashed last night. Ha ha ha.
But then, look at Steve there. Look at how much heroin he's had. He can put that away, can't he?
Yeah, or like, oh, look at him. He's a pothead. He smokes weed. You know, that's looked down. Oh, he's taking coke. Or oh, he's taking, you know, like thing. But
do you think that's down to the community, the way it's portrayed in the media and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's straight away. It's like, that's a dark issue.
Yeah.
In your mind, you go, don't talk about
anything
that.
Drugs is dark.
It's the same as cancer. It's the same as stuff like that. As soon as you turn around and you start mentioning cancer, the whole room goes, because it's a dark matter. Yes, it's an awful thing. It's a terrible thing, and we've lost family, and they lost family because of it. But people just don't like talking about it. Yeah. Whether it's because of obviously what they've been through or whatever. But it's the same as you talk about other diseases and stuff. It's like, oh, you can't talk about that. Like,
but it's like they'd see a big problem to them taking drugs every night, but it's fine to drink 2 bottles of wine a night. Is it? Like, no, it's like the limit is 14 units a week, and I would say a bottle of wine's 9 units in a bottle of wine. So if you're drinking a bottle of wine a night, you know, 7 times that, you know, it's a lot. Like, you're going over there, and I often say it packs in everything else. Like, people don't know this as well. If you're drinking over 100 units a week, you should be letting the DVLA know, because if you're found to be drinking that, you know, it has implications and stuff like that. So it's the perception as well. People almost see it as like drinking as like a jovial thing, like we were saying, like, oh, look at him there, look at him at a Christmas party, like, oh, he drinks a lot, oh, he puts away his alcohol, he's a big drinker. But they don't know what's going on with that person. He might be taking that habit home and doing that at home and stuff like that. Whereas the drugs, it's, oh god, he's obviously cocaine and heroin are totally different, but oh, he smokes weed, oh, we'll alienate him. It's like, well, it's not as harmful as alcohol, like marijuana and cannabis and stuff like that. Like,
well, I go to a pub, and when it was back then, it was like in a dark place, and I'd put away like 4 or 5 pints, and then I'll go for like 6-7 glasses of whiskey. You know what I mean? And then I'd be like, right, okay, so having shots and stuff like that, and everyone's going, oh, you can drink, that's sound, that you can drink, you can't have to drink. And I was like, in my head, I was like, but like, I'm drinking because I've got a shit past. You know what I mean?
Right, how many lads were around you at that point? 5, 6 at that point in the pub? How many out of those 5 or 6 were like, listen, lad,
you're right.
you want to stop now?
Yeah.
Like, listen, should we get you home?
Not
Just come on, man. Like, I'll pay for you. Let's get home.
'Cause
Let's have a chat tomorrow.
Yeah, because that was the life of the party.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Did you ever wonder at that point, where is that person that's going to stop me? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, because
they'll be ridiculed as well. They'll be like, oh, fucking stop ruining the fun and stuff like that.
But in my mind, I thought, if someone tries to stop me, I'll just fuck them off, because I need to drink. I need to forget. I need to get out of this frame of mind. I need to go into that dark place. I need to step out of that dark place, just even if it's just for the night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But literally, when I look back now, I go, oh, I wish someone did stop me. I wish someone did try and help me. Where were my mates back then? You know what I mean? Where was everyone? And everyone sort of like distanced himself. Like, it's all well and good having a laugh in the pub and go in the bar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when they're finding me collapse outside and on the floor, or stuff on social media that I put up when I'm drunk, going, what I used to do when I was.
You need that mate to be like, listen, I'll take that down. Like,
yeah, they weren't there.
And
when I started making calls, going, I need help, and talking to people, going, oh, yeah, we'll give you a bell back later.
And they don't.
And I just got swerved. You know what I mean? It's like.
And there's times like that when you realise who are your friends and who are the fair weather friends. Like,
exactly.
And I often tell patients this, like, and I tell people who drink to drown their sorrows don't know that their sorrows can swim, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your sorrows have got buoyancy aids.
Yeah.
And they don't go, and they keep going back.
Swimming, keep swimming. And it's that old song as well. It's the Verve. The drugs don't work; they just make you worse.
Yeah.
Was it the Verve? Was it the Verve?
The Verve, or the script. Sean, you're big on it.
Was it the Verve that sung that old song?
I can't remember. The two of them ring a bell. I'll Google it now.
The drugs don't work; they just make you worse.
Yeah. But that can go be portrayed for alcohol, for anything really.
And alcohol as well. Huh?
The Verve. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like the 90s. Yeah. And it's true, man. It's true. Like, and I often say the first step is identifying you have a problem and getting help.
That is.
And then the next thing is having the people around you as well, having the right people around you. If you've got 5, 6 pissheads around you and you're trying to get off the booze, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And
I often say with addiction and mental health problems, it is your surrounding and who you have around you. And it does stretch to, you know, and I know we're going off tangent here, but, you know, when you find a lot of these, you know, women that have fallen on hard times, for example, and they're sort of, you know, they've got drug addictions and they're working as sex workers and stuff like that. It's who they've got around them, you know.
Exactly.
If they're surrounded by other drug you know,
they're going to keep doing it, aren't they?
They're going to keep doing it, yeah. So it's just, it's not as easy as saying go and stop this. You have to look at everything as a whole. You have to look, like you were talking about home life, who's around you, the support network.
You need that person to come along and grab you by the collar and go, this way. Take you out of that situation and put you into another situation. And that's what I never had until now. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so it's such a complex thing, like, and that's good. You obviously come out the other side, like, with everything. I mean, when did you? How did it work? So you come home from the forces, and then what happened?
I come home from the forces, and I couldn't settle. Yeah. I couldn't fit in or settle. These proper uncomfy, the stools, aren't they?
Yeah, like dig into your ass.
That's what I do. We need some leather bound chairs. But I come back. I couldn't fit in. The routine was gone.
Yeah.
And because I never had that routine, I just fell apart. You know what I mean? So that's when it spiraled out of control for me. But with me now, like we said before the podcast, before we started, I'm glad I went through that pain and that struggle. Yeah. I'm glad I went through that turmoil in my life. So now I can sit here and go, right, okay, I've experienced that. I've been through this and I've been through that. Now I've found my calling. Now I want to talk to people, want to help people, and obviously bring you on right before Christmas, talk about alcoholism and stuff, because obviously with Christmas time coming up, with the year we've had in the finances and stuff like that, more people are going to start hitting the bottle more. And because we've been suppressed and like locked down, like so people can use Christmas to have a blowout and feel better. And like obviously with the city, with Liverpool City, it's the capsule for getting out and enjoy yourself. But that's what we do. You know what I mean? We get out and we go, put the past behind us, let's enjoy ourselves. But it's mainly just to send the message to anyone that watches this, send a message to people, say, listen, just think twice before you start going berserk. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely.
Just think about, you've got to think about your mental health and the after effects as well.
Of course, yeah.
And that's coming from obviously a GP that's seen it personally and on a professional level, and from yourself who's been in the worst place ever. So
definitely,
hopefully we can try and help someone like that.
No, that was the whole thing. And was it the steroid? How did that end in the end? What happened there? Like,
I met the right person.
Yeah.
I literally met the right person. She stayed. Well, I was still taking on and off when I was first met her. I was also smoking as well. I smoked for 17 years, solid. You know what I mean?
Weed or
no,
cigarettes.
And I was that's me. But with my addictive personality, it was just like, oh, I'll have one ciggy. Right, that's it. I'm about 30 a day.
20,
You know what I mean? So I met the right person. And we started talking about a future and a life and stuff like that, and we started talking about children, and then straight away, as soon as I said that, I was like, right, within 8 days I quit smoking. I was like, right, that money can go into the child, into the better life. I've got to think about my health. So straight away, steroids stopped. Straight away, just stopped. Well, where I was, just stopped dead. PCP'd, and that was it.
Did it affect you? When you're on the steroid, did it affect your mood when you're coming off it?
Coming off, I was scatty. I was emotional. My emotions were everywhere. So I was getting upset. I was getting angry. I'm still like that now. I'm still emotionally charged with anger and blah, blah, blah. But I'm controlling it a lot better now. But when I was on steroids, believe it or not, I was a lot calmer. Because my natural test levels are higher than what I was taking. The high dose I was taking.
Yeah.
And that's just me as a person, you know what I mean? So when I was on steroids, I was quite chilled.
Yeah. And
everyone's seen that. But it was when I was between cycles is when I was a lunatic, because my emotions and stuff, for say, weren't controlled through substance. They were down to me to control them, and I had no control of them because I had no control of myself.
Yeah.
So I was just an absolute bastard between cycles. You know what I mean? And people in the military knew that as well.
Yeah.
They knew when I was off cycle because I was just an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you regret going into the military?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Whose podcast is this anyway? Yes and no. Yes, I do regret it because it's had a massive impact on my life, my mental health. It stole a lot of years from me, not just while I was serving. I mean, when I got out, from the age of 25 up to 30, it stole those 5 years from me through me fighting with myself and other people, and it's cost me a lot of family members, a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, no, I don't regret it because it's made me the person I am today. It's made me a stronger person. So, I've had a lot of messages as well through Facebook and other social handles saying thank you, you've inspired me, you've helped me there. So to hear that,
that's your
it's
purpose,
worth it.
man. Yeah,
it's worth it.
That's the thing, especially with PTSD as well. I've seen a lot of that, and it's as you know, it's totally different. It's a little bit different to depression. It's all triggered by an event or a series of events, and a lot of times, you know, it's not. It might be your low moods and stuff, but patients might be sort of triggered by. You know, they might be very hypervigilant, very startled easily, you know, very irritable, struggle to sleep at night. Even something like, it can be very severe, even something that's a loud sound.
Yeah.
And someone will jump under the table or think it's something else.
Yeah.
But again, it's like you mentioned before, a lot of people may use that PTSD label to, you know, when it's not truly PTSD, if that makes sense. You know, they've come out of a bad relation. They've been broken up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they've got PTSD. It's like it's not PTSD.
I've lost a
true PTSD is people like yourself who've honourably served in the military and stuff like that. That is, to me, that's
believe it or not,
PTSD.
There's a lot of people in the military that will use that term as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's massive. I've cut a lot of people out of my life because of it. People that I know that I've cut.
And they've been in Iraq and Afghanistan with you, or they haven't?
They have and they haven't. There's some that haven't, some that haven't. But they'll sit there and they'll use PTSD as an excuse for anything.
But they won't have symptoms, like, or they won't be unwell.
Or they'll use the fact that they'll threaten suicide attempts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is down to attention seeking, or a lot of it is just down to the mood at the time. I mean, it's very easy to shout out. I've done it before. I've never said, right, that's it, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had 4 attempts, and on each one of them, I've not told no one. I've retracted myself, deleted social media, and it's gone and tried, because it's no one's business. I don't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
I'm in such a dark place. I was in such a dark place at that time. There's nothing that was going to stop me. And I don't want to be bombarded with texts or phone calls, people trying to stop me. I'm going to go. So to me, And if it sounds heartless or whatever, I apologise. But for someone to turn around and go, right, I'm going to kill myself, that you're blatantly not going to.
Yeah.
It's insulting to the people of like us, like who
Yeah.
have tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you go, like I've sat there, and you know when you have an argument with your wife, and it's a bad one, and in your mind you go, that's it, my life's over. Oh, she's gonna take the kid, I'm gonna lose my house, and fucking life shit.
It's how you feel at the time.
At the
but
time.
It's not. If you sat down and thought about it in 2 hours' time, you won't feel the same way.
No, of course not.
But it's naturally when
Because in 2 hours' time, you sat there having a meal,
when
and
something
everything's fine.
when something goes wrong, you're like, oh, I want to die right now. But
Exactly.
you don't really.
But you say it as a joke. But someone
Yeah.
PTSD or someone that has got a bad mental health issue or something like that will sit there and go, I'm going to kill myself. Generally fucking feeling it. You know what I mean? And the best thing to do is don't go near social media when you're like that.
Yeah.
Because you're digging another tin of worms.
It's so dangerous, that social media. I can imagine. I've seen a lot of patients that come. They feel like that, and then they go on social media, and the worst thing, they could have a few drinks,
and then exploit themselves. Basically,
they make themselves. I'm not gonna. They make themselves look very, very vulnerable.
Target.
Very vulnerable. So, you know, with some of the statuses and some of the posts and stuff.
I read some of them and go, "Come on,
what are you doing, man? Like, do you not have like you? This is the time when you need family and friends to really guide you and really tell you, listen, mate, come off. Don't be doing that. Don't be posting that. But again, like we were mentioning before, it's a hard thing, and it is essentially the thing is that your mind is playing tricks on you. You're not thinking clearly and stuff, and it's like I remember this. I fucking remember this one day, because obviously it's totally different when you see it out of your own life compared to in work. When you're in work, when you have to break bad news or you see mental health, you sort of you're empathetic and you can understand it, but you sort of become desensitized to it. So you walk out that clinic room, and you just think that's it's just part of your job.
Yeah.
It's part of your job. I don't go home
and you've been classed as
it.
cold for that by some people.
Yeah, you have. Yeah,
but,
it is.
If you
a lot of people have said like, oh, like
doctors and nurses are so cold.
No, it's not.
But if you held on to every emotion, you'd be
man,
fucked.
I get nowhere. It's police officers as well. What, like, are you gonna go home and think that? Because you get nowhere. Like, you have to, like, okay, it's they're not your mum and dad. They're not your family members, and that's why you should never treat your family members. But you should see them as a patient. And yes, you go in and sit down and you break the news, or you deal with these difficult conversations, and you show empathy and be like, I understand what you're coming from, but if they're crying, you don't have to start crying with them.
No.
Like, you don't start crying with them,
That's
or you don't start holding their hand or hugging them.
No,
and you leave the room and you detach the situation. But I remember this one time, I was a couple of months ago, I was driving back from I can't remember, I was driving back to the gym, I was driving back from somewhere, and I drove past, like, it was on the country roads, and I drove, you get these like fucking bridges over the motorway.
Yeah.
I drove over a bridge, and I remember just seeing this like kid like lurched over the bridge, just like looking around, just standing there. You're just like looking in space. It's like, what the fuck? Like, there was cars driving past and no one stopped. So I pulled over, and I got out of the car. I was just like, walked over. He looked like a bit like an emo sort of kid, like an emo lad. So I was like, "You all right, mate?" And he just looked. He looked at me with a blank look, and then just turned to face the way. I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Hello, you all right?" Again, just looked at me with a blank look, like nothing in his face. And he's and then I asked him again, and he started like getting tearful and stuff like that. And he was obviously he walked there to basically try and throw himself off.
Yeah.
Another guy stopped as well, and then eventually we only found out he was like 15. Brought the lad over the railings.
Yeah.
Because there was like a railing, and then you go onto the main bit, and then obviously the railing, and then it goes straight down.
Yeah.
And you could sort of tell, judging the situation, and I've been around a lot of mental health patients, he never wanted to go there. And he probably had a bad argument, or something had happened at home. Because I remember him saying, "Listen, we can drop you home." It was me and another bloke. It's like, we can drop you home, or he can drop you home.
Yeah.
We can call someone. Because I was like, because the other guy was like, "Oh, when we call the ambulance or the police," I was like, "Don't call the police, because they'll take him to hospital, and he'll have to be admitted, because he was 15. He'll have to be admitted onto a pediatrics ward, to be seen by CAMS." I was like, "Mate, unless you want to spend the night in hospital, let's just take you back home. If you got somewhere home to go." So I don't want to go back home. I don't want to go back to my parents. It's like, and then you could sort of tell by the situation, he never wanted to go there to kill himself.
He just needed that breather.
He needed that breather. Maybe I'm not going to say cry for help, because that's a really thing, but he almost Yeah.
Yeah. We've all been there.
We've all
We've all gone, right, I'm gonna
but then
just walk and get it out.
But then I remember when I was working in A&E doing my training to be a GP. I remember I wasn't on that shift, and my friend was on shift, and they received this like call, this emergency call that someone had hung themselves in, because Arrow Park Hospital's near like the woods.
Is that where you got? You did training?
I did my training in Arrow Park. So
is that where you live? Is it? Yeah.
I live over the water. Yeah,
that's where I'm from.
Oh, are you? Whereabouts?
Yeah. Well, I was brought up in Williston.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I live in Heswell.
Posh as well.
Yeah. my best mate lives in Neston, so Williston's not far. You grew up in Williston? Whereabouts?
Elm Road.
When did you go to school?
Neston.
Oh, you went to Neston High School? Yeah. Okay. How old are you now?
I'm 35.
35. Okay, so my best mate's.
You're gonna reel off loads of people that I know.
No. My best mate's Mrs. She went to Neston as well. Jess Williams. She's about my age. She might be. I'm 32. She must be 31 or 32.
Yeah, she rings a bell. Yeah.
Jessica Williams, brown hair.
Yeah, she rings a bell. Like.
Yeah, lovely girl.
You probably know loads of people. Like.
But that's probably the only one I know from Neston.
All right.
I went to Birkenhead, but Neston I don't know too many. But anyway, yeah. So it was. You know what it was? It was near the fucking near the Levers Causeway.
Yeah.
It was near. It was coming off the Levers Causeway and going towards Heswell and stuff like that. So yeah, and then like, so I just. It was just one of them, and you mentioned before. So this guy hung himself in Arrow Park in the woods, and he died. And you mentioned before, people who want to go kill themselves, they're not going to tell anyone. Go to the woods or go somewhere. So yeah, it's really sad, and obviously you can look from the outside in and think, well, that suicide attempt is so and so, but essentially mental health is mental health, and it's like their mind is playing. You can't think straight if you're going to want to kill yourself or think about it. You're not in a, your mind is not. It's not there, sort of thing. Whether you intend to do it or not, your level of rationale is gone, and that's when you need help. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It's I think this year is more so for suicide, especially male suicide.
Yeah,
is through the roof. You know what I mean? And I think this next year coming now is going to be a big year for the rebuild, if that makes sense. Getting people back on track and all that. But like I said, we have the support group there and stuff, and we're sponsored by a company called Serenity.
Nice.
And it's an old friend, Kev. He's on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Based up in Scotland, and basically anyone that comes through to our support group, we refer to him, and he works them for free.
What does he do for them? Like?
He's all mental health, so he's therapy and stuff like that. Yeah. But his approach to anxiety and stuff like that is quite it's unique. You know what I mean? So any support we push through there, like you mean, and I think a lot of it as well is trying to take the strain off the doctors and the clinics and the hospitals and the walking and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Obviously, a lot of people won't go there because they're scared of the COVID and stuff like that, which is a good thing and a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's a double-edged sword.
I've had a lot of that. Even little minor stuff, like I've cut my hand, I've done this. I was like, go to A&E. You need to go to A&E. I was like, I don't want to go to. Even from like trauma or anything, people just don't want to go to A&E now because of COVID. I was like, well, yeah.
Have you seen a difference in the A&E now? Is it massive cut? Like,
a lot less.
Because I've been to A&E. I went. When was the last time I went to? It was last year. I had a really bad panic attack, and it felt like I was having a heart attack. And I rang 111 saying, "Listen, I can't. This is the first time I can't calm myself down. I don't know what's going on." And I said the symptoms, and they said, "Have you ever suffered with your heart?" I went, "No, I've suffered with anxiety. But I've got severe, chronic anxiety." And they turned around and said, "We think you might be having an angina attack. We think you need to go to A&E if you get there within the hour." And I was like, all right,
some of these 111 calls.
So I turned around to my missus.
They're not medical, they're just like,
well, I turned around to my missus and said, "I'm having an angina attack," and she went, "Oh, are you? You better go then." So we sat in there we must have been there for about 10 hours, and there was people sat there with packed lunches. I sat there like that, and I was like that creased. I was like, I can't shake it. I thought, what's going on? You know what I mean? And I looked over, and they were literally, some woman was giving bags of crisps out to a family, and they're all sat there eating butties and like watching an iPad.
How unwell are you? And I was doing that in A&E.
What are you doing? Like, it's Friday night. Yeah. Why are you sat there? And then next minute, I finally went through. They did ECG, bloods, and all that.
They're all normal.
And then it was like, yeah, it's really bad anxiety. And I was like, okay. And then that's a perfect example of fear mongering. You know what I mean? Or not fear mongering, but if you tell someone they have a symptom, they Google it. Go to doctor, Google, and it's like, right, okay, straight away they live on that symptom. Okay. So when I got told, oh right, okay, I was diagnosed by a therapist up in Scotland in combat stress. I got diagnosed with severe PTSD and blah blah blah. I went and looked it up and looked at the symptoms and gone, okay, I've got some of those symptoms there, I haven't. So I forget about them. So I've got those symptoms. I know I've got those symptoms because I've felt them for how many years. But you get some people that get diagnosed with something, they'll look at it and go, oh, it says here that I could have anxiety or depression.
Exactly.
When have I ever felt down? And they search for it in their mind.
Exactly.
When have I felt down? Oh, why I felt down? I'll tell that story. And then because they say it and talk about it and think it and live it, they become it. And it's part of their life. Whereas me, I don't want to talk about it. I talk about it to help people. But when it's like, I don't want to talk about it because it's, the more you talk about it, the more your mind believes it. The more it's ingrained, and it becomes part of your mindset.
And there's something I believe in as well is visualization. You know, if the mind can conceive it, you can achieve it. And, you know, see it, believe it, achieve it, or whatever.
Well, that's the thing in the army. If you're conditioned to believe it, so it doesn't matter. You could be like 40 stone, you could be weak as piss. Your mind will pull your body through it.
Of course,
You'll be in agony and clip at the end of it. But
so I mean, it's different. I mean, I can't. No one can fly. That's just fucking impossible. Like you can't just fucking start flapping your wings and fly. But flapping your arms. But if you want to do something, you can work towards doing it. But yeah, that's the thing. Like when you mentioned about the symptoms and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. And especially like the patients will come to us, even us as GPs as well, and you know they'll read something on the internet, or they'll cling to something on the internet, or they'll cling to someone like that their family member or a nurse has told them. It's like, well, if you're not going to listen to my advice, if you're not going to listen to me, well, it's just like, what's the point? Like, yeah. So a lot of times they will. The internet is good and bad. Like it can.
It's a double-edged sword.
It's double-edged swords. But a lot of times, I've you know, the more maturity in the job, I've started to realise a lot of the times people just want reassurance. So they've read something on the internet, and they want to know. Listen, I often say to them, I'm not worried about this right now. I'm not worried that anything serious or sinister is going on. And that's just enough for them to be like, I'm not worried about it. It's when you're like, oh, no, like, it could be that, you know, I often just say to them straight up, right now, from the story you're telling me, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Like, I'm not Mr. Meg, but from you're telling me right now with your symptoms, you know, because that's a common thing, you know, like, oh, I'm getting chest pain and, you know, this, that. I think I've got heart problems. I was like, and then they go through it and then a lot of times they won't want to admit to themselves they're anxious or it's anxiety or it's mental health. I think it's hard. So I'll often say, like, listen, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, this doesn't sound like anything heart-related to me. If you were having heart-related, it'd be more of this story. What you're having is not this story. So I often say, to me right now, it doesn't sound like you're having a heart attack or angina. It does sound like mental health. And then again, they'll be reassured, but then again, sometimes it's hard for them to accept it's mental. Sometimes they can bury it so much that they don't.
I think a lot of people find that they've been told something. If they're told that that isn't what it is, they sometimes because people love drama. People love drama. You know what I mean? That's why we have soaps on the telly. Everyone loves drama. You know what I mean? And
you can post it on your Instagram and Instagram stories.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's it. I think so many people. That's the Instagram lifestyle at the moment. You know what I mean? People,
social media now.
People don't go out to look like weekends. As soon as I get some time for myself and the family, it's like right, we're going to Formby Beach. We're going out for the day. We're going here, going there. We're going out on an adventure, and let's get a bag on our backs. Let's get up the mountains. Take the baby out. Let's take her here, take her there.
The old school, and a day out.
That's it. Phones away, whatever. Now and again, the phones will come out for a quick photo. That's not for Instagram. That's for me. And
for memory.
That's it. I used to put pictures up all the time of me family and missus and the baby on Instagram, and it gets to that point now where it's like I don't want the world to see him because this world is evil. It is an evil world. So I'm taking pictures down, pulling stuff away. So those pictures are mainly for me. You know what I mean? And but people go out purposely they go out and you see it to get that photo for Instagram for that day. It's like, oh, we're gonna go up Snowdon. Like, okay. We need that photo. You need to be stood in that angle doing this and whatever. You need to change your t-shirt. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck off, man. Just enjoy your day.
Like social media. Like I was talking to my wife about this. She did. You know, she's big into. She works in marketing, and she did a thesis on the influence of social media on life and stuff like that. And I was talking to her about it. And I agree. Like I'm investing more time now on social media because, you know, for my podcast and stuff and the branding and stuff.
Same here.
But yes, same with yourself.
It's business. It's a business
But when
tool.
it starts to like because social media can affect a lot of things. It can affect your mood for the day, how many likes you've got, how many followers. It can affect your relationships. You know, like if you're liking another photo or following and messaging some girl or a guy, that can impact on your thing. And these people aren't fucking real. Like, you know, on social media, they're just these randoms from across the world. People get into arguments, slanging matches, you know, like on the comment section of, you know, COVID and stuff. It creates so much different problems and stuff like that. And like, it is. And not only that, like you get these young men and women that are sort of looking at these Instagram models and influencers and stuff and trying to be like them and thinking that's right. It's like looking at their perfect life, driving, thinking they can, you know, driving like Mercs and Bentleys and stuff like that, and
but it's
money. It's like, well, it's all fucking, it's all fake. All this shit's fake. Like,
it is.
And you see a lot. Like I've seen, obviously, impacts. Like I'm not sure how much social media is driving, but you see people like eating disorders and stuff. You know, that are trying to do that and
trying to become that person.
And yeah, like there has been times, you know, when I did work in Arrow Park in A&E, and you would get the suicide attempts or the, you know, people that come in for the mental health patients, and social media hasn't been, it hasn't helped. You know, when they've got when they've got drunk, gone on social media, done these rants, and social media.
I just use it as a business tool. You know what I mean? Like
it is,
my personal one.
Yeah,
it's obviously private, and that's just for me and my friends and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm in that frame of mind now where I just go, do I delete it? Because Instagram and Facebook is a business tool for the podcast, for the brand and stuff like that. So do I really want to portray my life? And it's like, I just don't go on it. I go on there. I blatantly go on there to talk to people for the show or for business. You know what I mean? Because if you're talking to someone on a personal account rather than a business account, it has that personal touch. It's a real person. It's not like some corporate trying to work with me or whatever. You know what I mean? So it does work better, but that's what it is to me, as a business tool. I used to go on it. I got to a stage where I was on it all the time. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, I can't be bothered with it. It just takes over your life. You know what I mean? But
I just see it. It's like a promotional thing now. Like I'm leaning more like, I might post a picture of if me and my wife are out, but you get some that are just like, I used to do it. Obviously, put all your fucking memories, you know, all your things. I just don't do that anymore. It's just like, I
think you messaged me on it before to say that you're on your way. I was like, there's my number, mate. So around. Fucking hate them. You know what I mean?
But and then I mean, there's like Twitter, like that's annoying as well. I don't really use Twitter and Facebook and stuff.
I don't know. It's weird. Even Facebook, I haven't got the app on my phone anymore. It's just like, I've got Instagram. What else have I got? I think I've got Instagram. I've got
fucking TikTok as well. I don't use that. I've never used that before. That's more for like kids and stuff.
I've got I got Instagram. See, social media, Instagram. that is it. And then I've got more banking apps.
Good on you, mate.
You know what I mean?
Looking after your finances.
That's old. That's my age kicking in that now. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's like that. Going, oh, you've got that? I got TikTok. No, I've got NatWest and Cash Plus. but mate, Doc, it's been absolutely mega having you on. Absolutely
I've
amazing.
Enjoyed that today, man. Yeah, it's been good.
I think we've covered everything that I want to talk about, so I'm absolutely made up of that.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
But get into the new year. We'll bring you on again.
Definitely, man.
We'll do like a post-COVID, if you like.
I'd love to. Yeah. I'd love to come again, man. It'll be an absolute honour, man.
Nice one, Mugger. Nice one, bro. Wake up. Nice one. I do it on every episode. You're not seeing it? Every episode I do. We stop, I turn like that. Was it John Smith's one last time? I looked over, I just seen your top of your head, it wasn't moving. I was like, and I looked at John, I was like, you awake? You went, yeah. I was like, hi.